It's time for the Leadership Lunch Break with Joy Jackson of Speaking of Joy. Let's tune in for today's discussion with DeMonica Amerson.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Welcome to the Leadership Lunch Break. I'm Joy Jackson of Speaking of Joy, and I am so glad that you have joined me on this Thursday so that we can share wonderful leadership tips and opportunities to share information with you that will help you, not just as a leader, but in any capacity. You know, I don't believe that leadership is about position. It's about influence and responsibility. So the good news is if you have influence or responsibility, you're in the perfect place today. And I am so excited. I have a friend, a kindred spirit sister. Our husbands actually are really good friends, and we've become friends for that as well. Miss DeMonica Amerson, thank you so much for joining the Leadership Lunch Break on today. We've been trying to coordinate this and get it together, so I'm so excited that we can make this happen. So I just want to jump right in. If you'll just introduce yourself and tell everyone who you are and what you got going on.
Hey, Joy. So I am super excited to be on today. DeMonica Amerson, educator, author, motivational speaker. I am a published author, but I'm also an educator, 19 years this year in education.
Wow. Congratulations.
Thank you. So it's definitely been a blessing, and I'm a life coach. And so I coach children. And of course, in conjunction with that, I help parents with parenting their children. No one gave us a book. No. There's not a guide. We have the Bible, of course, as our guide, as our book, but there's nothing, because everybody's so different. All of our kids are so different, so many different personalities. And so I have a passion, a love, and a heart for kids. I work with grown people, but I have a heart and a passion for working with kids.
Awesome. And if you've seen our title today is Purposeful Parenting and Partnering. And so we're going to spend some time talking about that. If you're a parent or a partner, whether that is a relational partner, whether that is a partner on your job or in the schools or with your children, there's a lot to say about how we interact with each other. And I think sometimes we get so caught up in working together or moving in certain directions that we forget a lot of who we are and how we exist is through partnership.
Absolutely.
And so that's what we'll talk about. So we're going to jump right in. My first question is, what would you say is the way that you would define purposeful? Let's start with parenting. We're both parents, so let's talk about it. What would you say is purposeful parenting?
Yeah, so I'm a parent. I'm a bonus mom, and I'm also
me too.
Mother. Yes. So parenting has not come naturally for me because I didn't have my first baby until I was 32. And so I was living my life and just, enjoying singleness and enjoying not having kids. But then, like I said, I've always loved kids, always been a teacher. Purposeful parenting. This is what I tell parents. Parenting is not a marathon. It's not a sprint. It is a marathon. Absolutely. And it takes time, and it takes failing at some things, and then it takes going back. So purposeful parenting means being intentional about building a relationship with your child. And I come from the old school, of course, where my mom, it was, you do what I say because I said so.
Absolutely.
And that has always been like my mindset. Like when I was a teacher, baby, just do it because I told you to. Just go ahead, just
absolutely.
And I wanted to be that way as a parent, but this is 2021. And when I had my daughter, it was 2011, and my bonus baby in 2010. And so it wasn't that easy because their minds are different. The way they think is different. And so it became, well, why do I have to do that? And in my head, I'm like, oh no. You did not ask me why.
You don't ask me why.
That's absolutely right. Yeah. But I had to remember that they are kids. And I tell my teachers, when they're working with children, they've only been on this earth for X number of years, right? So they don't know that they're not, they don't just wake up and want to question authority. However, I had to really understand and be intentional about understanding, why are you asking me why?
It
came from a very It came from a
Innocent,
very
yeah.
innocent place,
Absolutely,
right? It
absolutely.
totally came from an innocent place. So being purposeful means pulling down those layers, taking the
Absolutely.
time to pull down those layers of things that we've learned over the years and that have built up in us, and then going deep into relationship with our children. And
Absolutely.
it's not just because I'm the mama, you have to do it, or because I
Yeah.
said so. It's bigger than that, and I said so because, or
absolutely.
This is why I need you to do not just what I said, but even digging deeper. Like, what are you thinking? Why do you not want to do it? You know,
absolutely,
but
absolutely.
talking to kids. So being purposeful means relationship, intentional relationship, tearing down those layers and building a relationship of respect and trust.
Absolutely.
So that as they get older, the scripture will come to life. You know, they honor us
absolutely.
As mothers and as parents. They'll respect us and honor us. So that's what purposeful is for me.
Yeah. I think that's really good, because I think a lot of times, as you said, when we grow up, we were taught, you know, this is what you do. You don't question authority. You don't get to ask questions. You have an opinion, but your opinion is this much. And once, you know, and even if you say something, I'm still going to make the choice based on what I want to do as a parent. And I think now what we're learning, and everybody knows I got 7-year-olds, I got twins, and it's really, even for me, having to parent two people at the exact same time who need something totally different. So
I take my hat off, my wig, hat, everything.
All of that. Listen, that is all God, because if they turn out to be half as graceful as I'm trying, I'm like, Lord, you know good well, because I'm an only child. So I don't have any, you know, any siblings, or so I don't even know how to parent siblings. And so trying to do that and trying to be intentional. And I find my children questioning me a lot. But one of the things that I respect about them is that they are individuals, they are people, and because they are people, they may not agree. And although at 7, you don't know why you don't agree, but you may not agree. And so for me to say, no, you don't get a voice. And like right now, I wanted my kids to play soccer, because guess what? It's a whole pandemic out here. Let's go outside. Let's play soccer. And Sydney said, I really don't want to play soccer. She's never played, but it just wasn't something she wanted to do. Now we know that our mamas would have been like, I don't care whether you want to play soccer. I don't care what you want to do. You go play soccer. Yeah, you go play soccer. And we grew up unhealthy and miserable and all of on somebody's couch crying about today. Crying about somebody making us do something we didn't want. Now we resist authority and we grown. But I realized that if I give them the space and the opportunity to be who they are, then it makes it easier to have that relationship with them, to say, okay, so you don't want to play soccer. What would you like to do? Because you're going to have to do something. So, and it was, hey, I want to do gymnastics. Perfect. Then we can do gymnastics.
And it's really about us raising problem solvers. It's really about us raising critical thinkers. If I make every decision for you, or if I force you to go into every single thing that I said you need to do, then you're going to grow up and be so codependent on me and waiting for my guidance. And so it is bigger than, and we have to think about it globally. We have to think about it outside of your 7, your 9 right now. In a minute, you're going to be an adult. And you know, and one of my mentors told me when I first had Haley, she said, you are raising her to lead. And I'm thinking, no, I can't, you know, I'm not raising her, but that's what we're doing. We're raising our kids to lead. And the hope is all that I've imparted in them, in her, and in my bonus baby, all that I've imparted, my hope is when you do leave my flock, when you do leave my nest, you're able to stand on your own. And while you're standing on your own, you're able to critically think, problem solve, and make wise decisions that's going to benefit your life. And so that's literally what it's about with our kids.
And we can even apply this right now. Everybody listening, you can apply that to how you manage and lead your teams. Because you should not manage and lead people so that they never, ever get to be away from you. And I tell people all the time, if you're a leader of a team and at the end of the day, you have the same team for the last 5, 10, 12 years, kudos to you for having a well-oiled machine. But the truth of
Right.
the matter is you haven't developed them to where they're in a place where they're like, you know what? I want to do something different. You've equipped me enough to where I love working for you, but man, I think I can make a difference over in this area, or I think I would be better suited. And so a lot of times we think it's a lack of disloyalty when people are like, I'm ready to move on, or I'm ready to do something different. When if you've given them the skills, you should be excited. Like, you know what? I am so glad that you're ready to move on. I am. So, how can I help you? Do you have what you need? Because think about it. When our children leave the nest, that's what we do. We pack up a bag. Do you have? Remember when you used to take the road trips to with church? You had the little bag, and it had that that sandwich with the mayonnaise and the fried pork chops stuck in it. But
and then it sticks to the top of the mouth.
And you would never really eat it, but it was preparation. It was, I don't want you to get out there and not have what you need. So if you're hungry, you'll have a meal. And that's what we should be doing, is equipping people so that they have everything that they need. So when they walk out of the door, they are absolutely ready. And if they miss something, they still have enough in their arsenal to say, well, I may not know that, but I'm okay because I can use these things to actually, to work in those areas. And it was so good. When I grew up, my mother used to always tell me, and I thought this was the most, I was like, you have to allow yourself grace as a parent too, right? You got to realize, you don't have it all together. You think you're good, but my mom used to always say, and when I would make mistakes, or even when she would make mistakes, she said, you have to remember, this is your first time being a child. And this is my first time being a parent.
Oh, wow. That's
Isn't that
awesome.
deep? So it made me feel like it's okay that we're making mistakes, because you've never done this before. I've never done this. Yeah, that's what she said. It's your first time being a child. It's my first time being a parent. And so we would make mistakes, and it made me feel good to know that my mom would make mistakes. And it's like,
so for you to remember that, like as a mother now, for you to go back and remember that. And that's ultimately, as parents, what we want to do. We want our children to remember those life lessons and those skills and the tools that we gave them as a child. That's ultimately, so purposeful parenting. It's not putting a child in front of a TV, giving them a phone, letting YouTube or Roblox. Now, Roblox is the big to do for kids. Not allowing that to raise them, but intentionally spending time and imparting these little nuggets of wisdom that we remember from our parents. So being purposeful, it's definitely a marathon. Parenting is definitely a marathon. And we, like you said, we have to pray for grace every day, because we don't have all the right answers.
No. So with purposeful parenting, we also, one of the things we were talking about, even in our conversations, was purposeful partnering. So how would you define purposeful partnering? You're married, you're running a house, you're running a business, you're running a family, you're running a school, you're running how do you purposefully partner with your spouse when you've got 1,900 things and different responsibilities? What would you say is like, what does purposeful partnering look like with that?
So when it comes to my spouse, luckily we like each other. That's number one.
Amen. Step number one, get you somebody you like, please. Get you somebody you like.
And we really operate as business partners.
Okay.
And that's mainly because we do have so many. He wears many hats with his job. I wear many hats with our business plus my job. And my daughter is a business in her own life. We have a nonprofit organization, Haley's Helping Hands, and that derives from a vision that Haley had, my baby. And so the way we partner is like a business. We don't function in titles, like you the husband and this is what a husband is supposed to do, and you the wife and this is what George cooks. George picks up Haley. DeMonica takes Haley to track practice. DeMonica takes, Haley, George takes Haley fishing. DeMonica does homework. So it's a business, and it's like a partnership for us in order for it to work. And that's the Amerson household. I don't, it's different for everybody, but what I've seen in my experience over time, parents, when there are two parents in the home, it definitely, the communication has to be such that it's not an I or a me thing. It's a us. It's a we. And the common conversation has to be just that. The conversation has to be, we are bettering our child. We are bettering our empire. And like we had to be on the same page. Like, what are we trying to accomplish? Where are we trying to go? And what do we want our child to see? I want my daughters to grow up and be magnificent wives and great mothers.
Absolutely.
Well, I have to model that same behavior.
Absolutely.
Literally to the point we were sitting at the dinner table. And so when I was growing up, so I'm not an only child. I have 3 other siblings. And when I was growing up, there were a lot of us in the house. My mother is Mother Teresa, and she took care of her sister's kids plus us, and then she adopted my little sister, and my grandmother lived with us. So it was a lot of us in the house. Well, wasn't that case for my husband. It was only him and his sister, and they're 6 years apart. So there were many years when he was at home, just him as a husband or as a son. And so we didn't sit in my house. We didn't sit at the dinner table and eat dinner every single night. Well, we've made that a priority in our household. We have to sit at the table, and if we grab something from Chick-fil-A and ran out and got it and brought it back, we sit at the table and we eat. So the other night he said, I made a face, and we talked about my facial expressions. I'm working on it. I am totally a work in progress. And so he said, remember what we said we wasn't going to do in front of Haley, because I don't want her to pick up on that and think it's okay for her to make a face to her father. And so I had to go back in and change and work on DeMonica and really, fix my behavior, because I don't want this behavior for her to pick it up and put it out towards somebody. And I really don't want her to pick it up and do this to her husband. God, I prayed for her husband in advance. I already prayed for him because I know my child, I know my daughter. So the parenting has to come through open and honest communication. And we treat it like a business. We run our household literally like a business. He takes care of, he's the financial advisor for the family. He said if I did it, we would be under a bridge somewhere. So I'm okay with that. I know my skill set. I know what I'm good at. I know that I take care of the house. When you walk in, you feel the presence of God. You feel a home environment. When he's the chef of the house, I know how to cook, and I want for the record America to know that I know.
But George likes to cook. George,
he likes to cook. He likes to do it. So I let him. And I don't force that on him. So we don't function by title. We function by our strengths. And we really operate as a business. We are a 501c3 or LLC, and we just we really make all of that, and we really make it work to the best we can. Do we fail? Do we make mistakes? Absolutely, but we don't, because there's a foundation of love. And a foundation of friendship. George and I were friends for 15 years before we got married. And so because there's a love and a friendship there, we don't rest or wallow, if you will, in our failures or in our mistakes. I forgive you. You didn't do it on purpose. Let's keep it moving. And that's what we treat. That's what we're teaching our girls as well. Even in their everyday activities with friends or with people at school. I had to come back. I'm from Fifth Ward, Texas. So I had to come back when my baby told me the little girl kicked her at school. In my head, I'm like, She goes to a Christian private school. So I'm saying, surely they not kicking people at the Jesus school.
at the Jesus school, But so, Jesus kicked some people out the temple, so maybe that was a justification.
The whole thing, he turned it upside down. So
maybe that was a justification.
So I really had to remember, because I saw my life flash before my eyes when I saw the little girl. And so I said, okay, I had to talk to her about forgiveness. And she came back a couple of days and she said in her own way, Mommy, I have, I can't remember the little girl's name. I have her phone number. And I said, oh, really? You have her phone number? And I said, did you forgive her? And she said, yes. And we're now friends. So
Absolutely.
I took that as, thank you, God. She learned the lesson of forgiveness, which is what we try to show her here, in our partnership or in our business.
Absolutely. And I think purposeful is a powerful word, because
Absolutely.
so many times we get in relationships, whether it's an intimate relationship, a work relationship, a parental relationship, and we don't understand why we're together. Like we spend a lot of time thinking this is the one, this is the right way, and not really seeking God. And what would you have for this relationship?
Absolutely.
And in every relationship, I think as leaders, that's something we have to do. You're leading the team.
Yeah.
Lord, what would you have me impart with this team? What would you have me share with this team? Lord, what is it? And that's it. And what's the purpose? Why did you bring even the difficult people? Because let's be clear, we may be able to manage some, but in a lot of situations, we've got people like, Lord, why is this person on my team? But it's like, Lord, what's the purpose for it? Because it could be sharpening me. It could be teaching me something. It could be they're here so that I can impart your word, your way, your will on them.
Absolutely.
So we have to be always looking and always praying and always seeking God and saying, okay, what would you have for this? What would you have? Even if I'm a parent, what would you have me to be as a parent? What is it that I want to raise a healthy person, but what does healthy person look like? So God, show me what healthy looks like. God, show me how, because we think healthy.
All of that.
Yeah, we could think it. So it's like we have to be intentional every day of saying, God, even when I say good morning, what would you have me to say? How would you have me to respond? Because even if somebody cuts me off on the highway or does anything, how would you? Because everything that we do, if we are, it's purpose. There is no mistake. There's no accident. There's no
everything.
Every relationship, every conversation, every interaction has a purpose. So if we're not aware and not mindful of that, we will absolutely find ourselves in a situation where we're angry, frustrated, resorting back to old patterns, because there are some habits that we absolutely need to break in our homes, in our lives, in our workplaces, in our relationships, in our interactions, in our communication. But a lot of times we don't ever get that opportunity because we're not looking for it, because we're not purposeful. We're just, I'm going to work every day, put my clothes on, I'm gonna go in there, I'm gonna just talk to I'm gonna do my job, I'm gonna go home. It's like, but if I'm here, I have a reason, there's an impact, there's a lesson, there's a legacy, there's something that's more than me at this particular moment. So I've got to be aware of that. I got to be, and I think, and I'll ask you this, I think that a lot of times people are afraid to find that because there's a level of accountability. When I realize that it's bigger than me, when I realize that I have a responsibility, I now have to be accountable for what I say, what I do, how I live, how I walk, how I respond. And that becomes too much for some people. So what do you say to people who say that, who are like, you know what, I get it, but man, you're asking a whole lot of me in this season.
So one, and it's hard. It's hard work. What I say to parents, especially for some of my clients, the kids that I coach and their parents, they didn't ask to come into this world. And so you made a very conscious decision to become a parent, become a mother or a father. And when you did, whether you realize it or not, you said at that moment that I am now going to take on the responsibility, the accountability of raising a child. Society, unfortunately, has made it easy to where you don't have to raise a child. But if you truly want to raise a person that's going to be productive and going to be a blessing to the society, then it's hard work. It takes time. And the majority of that, Joy, is looking inward.
Absolutely.
It's looking inside of us. And you said it, we got to change us. We have to change us. And everybody doesn't like change. Change is not easy for everyone. And it makes us uncomfortable. I tell parents that, you made the decision, so let's do the work. It takes work. And now that we know it takes work, and I know I made the decision, now I'm going to give you the tools to help you with the work. And so it's really just about partnering with parents and being that shoulder to lean on and to say, you don't have to have all the answers. I tell my staff every day, On Mondays, I have no answers. On Tuesdays, I can give you some. But seriously, I tell them I don't have all the answers, but I'm a great looker upper. I can find it.
Absolutely,
I'm a great
absolutely.
reacher outer.
Absolutely.
I call people, and and even as a principal, they believe that I'm supposed to have all the answers, and I had to become a transparent principal and say, I don't know everything. I'm learning right along with you. I'm going to lead you as best as I can. I'm going to give you grace, and I expect the same thing. That's what I tell my parents. You don't know everything. I'm going to stand by you. I'm going to help you. I'm going to learn alongside of you, because you, Joy, just shared something with me, because technically Haley is my only baby. So I am now going to tell her this is the first time you've been a child.
First time. That's it. Yeah.
First time I've been a mother, right? So even though I'm a life coach, and even though I'm an educator and an author, I didn't know that. And I may have known it, but I didn't think about it from that perspective. And so I'm telling parents, and I'm telling those, especially on my campus and in my community where my school is, I grew up in that community. And so a lot of my parents are people I went to high school, middle school, elementary school with. And so they don't see Mrs. Amerson, they see DeMonica. I have to talk to them like DeMonica. Listen, you don't know what you're doing. I don't know what it looks like. You have to get your baby the support and help. And a lot of that, to be honest with you, is literally time. Our kids, and I realized it when I was moving, doing a lot. And Haley was with me, but she wasn't present. I wasn't present.
Absolutely.
I wasn't present for her. And even though in my mind, you right here with me, why are you crying? What's the problem? I wasn't present. She wanted mommy, and I was giving her just my physical being. So we have to slow down. I believe this pandemic was intentional.
Absolutely.
I've said it since it happened. I have struggled, and Joy, you know this. I've struggled with multiple sclerosis for over 20 years. And I felt myself, because I had been going, just like a rat race. I felt myself getting sick, really, really, really sick. And I ended up in the hospital, but I pulled, and this is how I knew also that this pandemic was definitely necessary and intentional. It was Haley's birthday. I knew I was getting sick, and unfortunately, when I get sick, I'm in the hospital for days. And so I knew that, and I knew Haley's birthday was November 2nd. And so I said to myself, let me just make it through. I'll go to the hospital after her birthday party. Let me just make, because we had the whole party, right? As a mother, that's what we do. We do those,
absolutely. Doesn't matter. We're going to make it work.
But I'm not excited about the pandemic, but I understand the pandemic. I understand that it was we needed to slow down as a world, as a society.
Absolutely.
And it was intentional. Why did the schools close? Because parents needed to be with their kids.
Absolutely.
Why did people lose their jobs and still making it? Because parents needed to be with their kids. Why did churches shut down? Why did, the places that we considered our rock, our core, all of those places shut down. I believe it's bigger, it's so many different levels and facets to that. But as a parent, parenting needed to get back to the state of parenting. We needed to be with our children. We needed to spend time with our children. And I literally, Joy, I counted, I boohoo cried, because I counted the minutes, not hours, the minutes that I spent with my child a day. From the moment she woke up, get ready, hurry up, come on, let's go. We're gonna be late. Drop off at school. Okay, I'll see you later. Pick up from school. Come on, you gotta do your homework. You gotta get ready for track practice. Track practice. Come home. Hurry up. We gotta eat. Go to bed. Take a bath. That's a wrap. I counted 53 minutes.
I believe it.
That was it. And when I tell you, that rocked me to the core. Because I'm thinking, I used to say this as a teacher, parents, we spend more time with your kid than you do. And that was before I was a parent. It didn't hit me until I went back to that statement, and I had to ask God for forgiveness. And it still quakes me. It still makes me feel some kind of way, because we right back at it. I'm right back at it, but I'm more intentional about girl talk. We have girl talk now.
Yeah.
So before we go to bed, we have girl talk. We play games while we eating dinner.
Absolutely.
We play concentration and we play.
Absolutely.
Tell me about you. That kind of thing.
You have to.
Being intentional about our kids.
You absolutely have to. And I think that for people who are listening, it's important. And DeMonica and I had this conversation, which is kind of how we knew we wanted to do the leadership lunch break. I said, I'm also aware that slowly we're getting back to that. Slowly we are getting back to the hustle and bustle. Yeah. So all the time we had where we were like, Lord, what am I going to do with all this time? We have found ways to fill it. And so we are finding ourselves right back, maybe not to full capacity, but if you look at your day and if you're not aware, you would have filled your day back up with, like, for example, social media. So now you got more time to scroll on your phone. Yeah. You got more time to do that. So before we even realize it, we've lost some things. And instead of purposefully filling those spaces, we're now just adding stuff back to it. So if I'm out and I'm like with us, so the girls we play a game called Family Ball. Family Ball is nothing more than going in the backyard, the four of us, with a big ball and keeping it in the air. But they have called it Family Ball. And so they look forward to playing Family Ball. Now, in reality, we could say, well, no, we don't want to do that. We'll find some, but it's like you have to be mindful of all of the opportunities, because one of the things that I believe, and this is just in general, we only get these opportunities once. Absolutely. I mean, and whatever the opportunity, it doesn't have to be the opportunity to just parent, but whatever the opportunity is to interact, to engage, this is the moment. And this moment that you have could change the trajectory of a person's life. And so you can't take it for granted that you interact with children every day, or that you interact with your children every day, or you interact with your husband. You can't, because these are the moments that define our future. This defines our home. This defines the next generation. And if we are not aware or keen to how important that is, we miss the opportunities to have teachable moments. We miss the opportunities to coach. We I really wish I could get on a bullhorn for the world and literally say that, like, this is the time. The time is now. The time is now for you to be with your child. The time is now for you to stop. And yes, we're getting back into, I think about the story in the Bible of the man with the talents, and he gave out all the talents, right? And when the master with the talents, and when he came back, he was looking for you to have done something more, right? And so there were some too that did, but there was one who said, "No, I just wanted to bury my talent and hold on to it." So then, put that as a parent. We have this time and we're with the kids, and I believe the pandemic was not it slowed us down. So now we're back into life. What are we going to do with what we learned from the pandemic? Are we going to go back into that same space that we were in and end up sick and diabetes and high blood pressure and heart disease and all of that? Because we're moving too fast, and then our children end up raising themselves, or are we going to take what we learned and, like you said, take a simple ball and keep it in the air? Simply to spend it, right? So us sitting at the dinner table, we make up games just to have an opportunity to talk to each other. I came up with girl talk right before you go to bed. Just tell me whatever, whatever's on your heart, whatever's on your mind. Let me tell you what's on my heart and on my mind as a mother. And so I believe we're gonna go back into it. We gotta go to work. You gotta, be busy again. But you have to slow down long enough to think, this 5-10 minutes that I'm driving in the car, am I gonna give you the phone so you can play on it, or am I gonna talk to you? Am I going to just talk to you? Absolutely. I don't really have to have anything to talk about. Matter of fact, I Googled questions to ask a 9-year-old because I was running out of stuff to talk about. So I Googled it, right? But I'm going to take the opportunity to talk to you, and I'm going to go back into, I don't want to be as busy, but I'm back. We all are busy back into the business. But now I'm wiser. My thought process is different. My actions toward my children are different.
And so now I think that was a part of the whole purpose.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, as we wrap up, it's really important for everyone who's watching to understand, even if you're not a parent, right? These are principles that you can use no matter what, because you're in relationship with people that you have, because parenting, and I'm not minimizing, but parenting is about responsibility. I have a responsibility to another human being. Like there's another person that I am responsible for. Guess what? Every one of you watching has somebody that you're responsible for. So even if you say, I'm not a parent, that's okay. You have a person on your team. You have a friend, a family, a neighbor. You have somebody that God has put in front of you to help lead this person through life. And whatever that person is, these are principles you can use. Do you take time? Do you find those moments where you could be doing something else and you force, and you've not forced, but you put yourself in a situation where I choose this instead. And so you can be purposeful in any relationship. As a parent, as a partner, as a preacher, as a teacher, as a coach, whatever you are, you can be purposeful in it. And if you want to see what you have develop and grow, this is how you do it. This is how you do it. And the Bible says, forget not the former things. So when we get back to the regular world, we can't forget the lessons that we've learned. We can't forget what it felt like to be in a space of being still, in a space of being quiet, in a space of being where, you know what, I got to make some choices. I got to make some decisions, being reflective. I think that's super important. And no matter how far we go, that's the lesson. No matter what, I've got a time on this earth, and I have some things that I need to accomplish. God has appointed me a specific time. And in that time, when it's all said and done, have I fulfilled my purpose in the lives of my friends, my husband, my children, the community, the world, my business, anybody. And that's my mission is, God, I want to touch as many people as I can, that when I leave, even if it's not leave this earth, when I leave their presence, they're better. Not because I've done anything, but because truly, God, I'm listening to you about the purpose for this interaction, the purpose for how we're going to continue. So, DeMonica, I thank you. You're coming back. Let me tell you, we're going back. I've been doing this. I've been bringing people on, and I'm getting so much response because talking about it and just being transparent and open has really been a blessing for me and for other people. So I want to thank you so much. First, tell everybody how they can get in touch with you, where they can find you, because if they are parents or you never think about your children needing a life coach. So if you're looking, so how can people get in touch with you?
So my website is www.DeMonica.Amerson, DeMonica.Amerson.com, DeMonicaAmerson.com. They can reach me there, send me an email. I am definitely in a space to where my clients right now, I'm working with them, but I'm accepting new clients. But I want people to know that it is about intentionality with children. You're raising them so they can leave you. You're raising them to stand on their own 2 feet and be as successful, if not more successful than what you are. And so they can also, on my website, Joy, I want to make sure I mention this, grab my books, The Millionaire Child Coach, Motivational Conversations, and Left But Not Alone. That's my novel. So on my website, definitely can get in contact with me, shop around, and definitely book your consultation, free consultation for your child.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And I want to thank all of you for joining us again for the Leadership Lunch Break. Share it, like it, comment, send it to people you know, because these are the conversations that I believe truly will change lives. And the best way to do that is once it's spoken to you, then share it with someone else so that they can be blessed as well. So until we meet again, have a wonderful, wonderful day.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining the Leadership Lunch Break. Join us next Thursday at noon Central Standard Time for lunch as we continue our discussions. Follow Speaking of Joy on all social media platforms or visit our website at www.speakingofjoy.com. That's www.speakingofjoye.com. Until next week.